Welcome to Modern Marketing for the Modern Manufacturer, exercises in data analysis and communication creation. My name is Marilyn Cox. I'm the Marketing Principal with the Oracle Marketing Cloud's Industry Solutions Center of Excellence. I've included my contact information here. If you have any questions about any of the best practices discussed in today's presentation, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. So the manufacturing industry is definitely unique, and how you perceive your industry's differentiation is important. So I want you to virtually raise your hand if any of the following are true. How much has your organization changed in the last 18 months? Take a look at some of these key changes that are occurring across a lot of manufacturing organizations. And these changes are having extreme effects on different organizations. So if your organization has changed, you're having to make adjustments. And for a lot of manufacturers, they tend to focus on back-end solutions, which makes sense. A lot of those back-end technology pieces are the guts of an organization. But when you think about where organizations need to change, particularly manufacturing, it's really at that customer level, and it's in the customer experience. And so a lot of the technology focus for manufacturing organizations is going to start shifting to customer experience technology, because that is the guts of your customer engagement. And so that's where investment needs to be. So let's take a look at a few best practices that organizations can begin to implement. So when you start thinking about customer experience, when you think about your marketing communication programs, before you create a program or a campaign, you have to understand what your objectives are. You need to understand what data it is that you want to capture, what you want to learn, and what you plan to do with that output. Effective change requires analysis and adjustment. So I always recommend that you put in place the 1/3, 2/3 rule. 1/3 planning, 2/3 action. And a lot of times you also need to implement that backwards planning. You need to understand what you want that output to be, and then work backwards to understand how to build that into the actual program to capture that required data. Once you've started to collect the data, it really becomes sort of a game of clue. So who are these individuals? Where are they? What are they using? When are they doing it? Why are they doing it? How do they do it? You hear so often you need to deliver the right message at the right time to the right person on the right channel. Just as you need to understand that, you need to make sure that you can do the reverse, that you can understand who all of these individuals are, what they're looking at, what channels they're engaging with. And it does become a game of clue. So let's take a look here at some information. Let's say you have a customer, and if you were to look at a report like this, what do you see? What would you do with this customer? Well, first of all, let's take a look at the date and time. So you can begin to see here by looking at this information that there was consistent activity with that individual, and you can also see there are periods of the time of day in which they're engaging. There's also some information that definitely stands out. Now, this is actually profile data of me. And when the screen capture occurred, I was taking a look at what used to be the eloqua.com website, specifically some of their marquees content. And the marquees are an awards program that the Oracle Marketing Cloud has in place, where different marketers submit best practices. And so I was interested in submitting for an award for the organization that I was working with at the time. So if you can begin to understand what are some of the trends in the interest of that individual, when are they engaging with your content? I was very engaged with the community, and so you can see that for this profile, this person was taking a look at community information. I was also taking a look at some of the service offerings and the education courses that were offered. So you can tell that this is a very engaged customer that's interested in furthering their knowledge of the technology, that's engaged with the community, and that's interested in possibly submitting some information that could be used for a case study. You can also see that in this instance, this is somebody that was engaging with weekly content that was delivered also on a regular basis. So let's take a look at a couple of examples. So let's say you have a partner channel and you want to determine which partners to allocate additional budget. So we want to determine partner revenue potential. In order to do that, we need to understand opportunity conversion, revenue performance, engagement with partner-focused marketing material, the use of marketing materials provided for use by partners, and then you need to ask, based on the data above, which partners have the greatest potential to drive revenue? Which partners are generating the greatest return on investment? Where should future resources and money be allocated? So let's say in this instance you have limited resources. Where should you focus your sales and support efforts? Let's look at reseller partner customer satisfaction scoring. Capture scoring in surveys, and you can do this through creating the form model. You can segment by reseller satisfaction, and you can make decisions on follow-up based on that data. You can start to triage. Let's look at account engagement segmented by rep or partner. Which reps or partners have the highest engaged accounts, and how does that correlate to revenue? Let's look at referral potential and conversion for customers or partners. Which clients have driven new revenue via referrals? Okay, let's look at another example. So let's say you have a content strategy that you're putting together, and you want to segment analysis by customer, by prospect, and by partner channel. Some of the things that you want to pay attention to as an organization. What are your top 10 performing web pages? What are your top 10 performing pieces of content? Are you leveraging that top content on your top performing pages? Are the pages you've identified as high value the pages people are actually visiting? When people share your content on social, what words do they use? Can you socially share content to crowdsource new content? So now that we've talked through some examples and you know what to evaluate, let's go a little bit deeper and figure out, how do you collect that data? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go ahead and pause this recording, and I want you to select one of the following campaigns and programs. And then I want you to detail things like, what digital assets would be a part of that program? What would that workflow look like? Where would campaign entry and exit occur? What type of form data would you be collecting? And where would you place different tracking code? On what types of web pages or social channels would you be pulling into this? So go ahead, select from that previous slide, whiteboard and account for those assets, and then I'll give you 30 minutes. Again, go ahead and pause, come back and play, and hopefully this will be a valuable exercise for you. So now that you've conducted this great exercise, welcome back. Hopefully you have a little bit better understanding of how you would begin to build out a program. And for some of those programs that were listed on that slide, if you want to chat about that further, if you want to understand how you can build out those types of programs, again, I listed my contact information at the beginning. I'd be happy to chat through some of that with you if you're looking for ideas, suggestions, or even a little bit of help. So some next steps for you to consider. Identify the changes in your industry and business that are impacting your sales and marketing strategies. This is going to be very key because oftentimes that's going to be the indicator for the type of marketing and communication programs that you need to put in place. Practice the 1/3, 2/3 rule. Remember, the power of the technology is in the data output. The insight that you are going to gain, what you're going to learn, and how you act on that data is key. Analyze beyond traditional campaign metrics. Understanding bounce back rates, open rates, click-through rates, form submission rates is all very important. It's a great thing to understand because you can build on that. But challenge yourself to think a little bit beyond basic campaign metrics. Again, in this presentation, we talked through how you would begin to analyze content strategy, how you can act on content performance. We talked about some of the different metrics that you can look at to understand effectiveness of partner channels or individual sales reps or channel performance. Keep all of those things in mind because that's going to allow you to make more impactful business decisions as opposed to just campaign decisions. And then once you have that data, determine what actions you will take. This is very important. If you have data and you just look at it, it's not going to do you much good. So you really want to make sure that you can look at the information and then make decisions based on what you're seeing. So are you going to make changes to your message? Are you going to make changes to the audience that you're targeting? Are you going to possibly create new programs? Are you going to redirect the sales efforts of your sales organization? Are you going to reallocate budget based on the data that you're taking a look at? Make sure that you design campaigns to address the audience journey as well as capture your required data. And again, this really ties into making sure that you work backwards. I can tell you from experience how many times I've launched a program and once we start evaluating data, I find myself asking the question, you know, it would be really great if we knew the following. And if we had just identified that up front and built the campaign to capture that information, I'd have the information that I had been looking for. And then remember to leverage channel partners as an additional marketing tool. So don't feel like you have to go at this alone. You have, as a manufacturing organization, many of you rely extensively on your channel organizations. Make sure that you're leveraging that relationship. And remember that it's a two-way street. This is not something that you can just demand and request information from your channel organization. Make sure that you are certainly providing the same service in return, that you have that data transparency back and forth. I point to an excellent framework that was developed by Serious Decisions when it comes to channel marketing. They also highlighted a great example of a channel concierge program that VMware put in place. So definitely would recommend checking both of those out. If you don't know where to find that, I can certainly provide that information. Again, if you have any questions, if you want to chat about any of this further, if you need any additional clarification, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to delve into this in any way that you'd like. Thank you.